Hi, I'm Natalie.
Kyle.
I'm Lena.
My name is Ruben.
I'm Cheyenne.
I'm Adamari.
All right. What if I told you that 580,466 people in the United States had begun to develop a condition that turns their skin blue? And what if I told you that this number was increasing every year? Well, first you'd be confused. And then the next question you would say is, how many people? 500,000 people? What are the chances that this could happen to me or somebody I love? How do we find a cure? So that becomes the main question. How do we fix this? The call to action when we hear the suffering of so many other people. Well, the good news is that we don't have an epidemic of people's skin turning blue. But what we do have is a homeless crisis affecting, you guessed it, 580,466 people every day in the United States. And unlike our fictional example, many of these people that hear about it stop really caring or trying to ask about finding a cure. In my previous speech, I explained what difficulties those on the street faced. I spoke about my firsthand experience being forced to provide food and water illegally for those living in Sacramento, and how this experience pushed me to basically learn what I could do and try to research a little bit more. I believe that together we can advocate for services that will solve issues like food and water scarcity, that'll provide shelters, transitional housing, employment opportunities, mental and physical health care services, and other services that will end the suffering for so many in the United States. So that's a large claim. For many politicians have made the same one, but made no progress to fix this issue. But I believe that where they go wrong is that we have to start small. First, addressing the immediate issues that are making life difficult for those that live on the streets. First, starting with public restrooms. Here in the city of Sacramento, there are 55 public restrooms, only 28 of which are available 24/7. More restrooms have not been made available due to reasons like expenses to build, history of vandalism, the need of cleanup constantly. And I believe that what we have to start doing is look at what works for other cities. So in San Francisco, they currently have a program called the Pit Stop Program. These restrooms there's 25 public restrooms that are permanent and 11 temporary restrooms in San Francisco. These facilities contain multiple toilets, so for a total of 123 throughout the city of San Francisco. These public restrooms are groundbreaking due to their self-cleaning features, 24-hour staff members, needle disposal containers, and dog waste disposal. The current cost for each of these restrooms is $200,000 per year. That's for each one. The cost includes the salary for a 24-hour attendant who is there to ensure that the bathrooms are clean, well stocked, as well as get medical help for potential overdoses or to deter vandalism. These employees are found through the nonprofit Hunters Point Family and its spinoff Urban Alchemy. The Pit Stop program has found success with these employees, often hired after release from years in prison. This program both keeps the streets of San Francisco free from needles and feces, but also offers job opportunities for those who are desperate to rejoin society and make a difference in the process. In 2016, Sacramento attempted to modify San Francisco's plan and enact their own Pit Stop program. This program pilot included one temporary public restroom. And unlike San Francisco's program, this restroom did not have self-cleaning properties. The staff members were not hired out of prison from a nonprofit. They didn't include 24-hour access, and the facilities were portable, which dramatically increased the yearly maintenance and transportation costs. After just 6 months, Sacramento suspended the program. In their status on the report, Pit Stop attended restroom, the city presenter, Emma Falcon, states, however, the value of to the clients is clear. It is not clear that the Pit Stop program addressed the community impacts of unsheltered homelessness as originally hoped. The cost for this one temporary restroom for 6 months was $174,000, not including the $36,000 initially spent to design and purchase this one restroom. So what made Sacramento's system fail? I believe that the multiple key elements from the San Francisco model were missing from Sacramento's plan. So first, Sacramento didn't build a permanent restroom to be staffed 24 hours a day. Instead, staff members were required to pick up and drive the restroom to its resting location on Ahern Street and in the morning, and drive it back to the temporary holding facility at night. So the city of Sacramento estimates that the transportation cost alone added an additional $47,000 for the 6-month period that it was open, while the city of Sacramento may have saved a lot of money by purchasing this facility instead of renting it like San Francisco does. Overall, the maintenance and transportation costs of the type of facility that they put together was just too high to be sustainable. So instead of doing this, and instead of just completely adopting exactly what San Francisco did, since it didn't really work here, I believe that we should focus our efforts to the 55 existing public restrooms that are already around Sacramento. So common complaints about these restroom facilities is that they're frequently dirty and vandalized. And as we learned from the San Francisco Pit Stop program, if we have an attendant that's there monitoring things, that can stock and clean and clean things up, it makes it where the system works, and we can just use that with the existing 55 restrooms that we already have. Money otherwise spent doing massive cleanups of trash bathrooms and other trash around the city, can be reallocated to pay for the salaries of staff members who maintain these facilities. This opens up job opportunities here in Sacramento, and these positions can be offered to homeless people that are currently living in shelters or in programs assisting them to get off the streets. Additional restroom facilities are necessary to lower the number of requests for waste cleanup in Sacramento. Unfortunately, the city of Sacramento has not provided how much it actually costs to do waste cleanup. The best information provided is from the city of Sacramento's 2015 cost of homelessness report, wherein it is stated that it's estimated that the city spends over $7 million annually addressing the impacts of homelessness, including the cost of cleaning up human waste from encampments along the city streets. This information is now 6 years old, and back then there were only 2,650 homeless people in Sacramento, and now in 2020, as of 2020, there was almost 6,000. So without an increase in the number of public restrooms to help accommodate the increase in homelessness, we can expect that the cost for cleaning up has increased by a lot as well. In addition to the issue with public restrooms, the city of Sacramento lacks a cohesive system to connect homeless people to social services. I believe that the solution to this issue can be found in the program Haven for Hope, located in San Antonio, Texas. Opened in 2010, Haven for Hope is a multidimensional campus that provides housing, social case management, job training, education, and other coordination of services. The 1,500 residents on the campus have access to food, water, showers, medical, vision, dental, and other necessary services all in the same campus. By having these services available, it becomes possible for homeless people to get connected to services that help transition them out of homelessness. So it's not always going to be the same 1,500 people that are living there on the campus, because they're being connected to services that'll help transfer them out. Currently in Sacramento, services are dispersed around the city. Mental health care facilities and transitional housing units have wait lists of up to 2 years. So the city's current system requires people experiencing homelessness to walk miles to a different location, wait hours for appointments, and try to maintain this level of consistency that's just not possible while you're trying to survive homelessness. Navigators in Sacramento no longer even have access to transportation to help people experiencing homelessness get to all these different locations. So Sacramento has worked towards building multiple small shelters, but as the Mayor Darrell Steinberg stated in his Sacramento State of the Downtown Breakfast speech in January 2020, building 100 beds at a time is not only less efficient than it could be, though necessary, but you have the same not in my backyard fight 6 times over. One of the largest hurdles to building a shelter in the community is the pushback of where these shelters should be located. I believe that dispersing these large campuses, one for each of the 8 districts of Sacramento, may be the only way to evenly distribute the responsibility while also providing enough beds for the amount of homeless people that we have in the city. Haven for Hope offers a compassionate solution to both of these issues. The San Antonio campus currently has the ability to house 1,500 people on just 23 acres of land. Evenly distributed amongst the 8 districts, each Sacramento campus would need to house roughly 700 homeless people to accommodate the 5,570 people that experience homelessness in our city every night. Each campus could operate at this capacity in each district with only 10 acres. These campuses could offer similar programs and services to Haven for Hope that would hopefully start to transition some of these people off the streets, while also providing them somewhere to sleep and food and pull them away from many common areas where we're having a lot of complaints about cleanup and all of that. These programs and facilities can take years to construct after the plans are approved. And that's why I believe that an immediate safe space for a tent city is mandatory to address the needs of those on the streets. Earlier this year in Sacramento, Caltrans began removing homeless encampments along Highway 50 to begin freeway work. And as Erica D. Smith with the LA Times writes, Sacramento City Council member Katie Valenzuela moved quickly to hammer out a deal with Caltrans to use a parking lot alongside Highway 50 for the safe ground. This temporary site offers restrooms, food, water, and storage for those who have been displaced by the construction. As Katie Valenzuela says on her campaign website, when our neighbors fall on hard times, they should have a safe, healthy place to get back on their feet. I believe more of these deals can be struck across the city to allow monitored sites where homeless people can stay and begin to receive services while other long-term solutions are being built. An additional benefit to this model is that there is a level of control that the city can maintain of where people pitch tents. This begins to limit contact with the general public and businesses that are often affected by homelessness downtown, where most people are congregated. Fiscally, this proposition can be funded in part by a decrease in policing and cleanup necessary when the no camping ordinance is currently being enforced throughout the city and encampments are constantly being cleared. This temporary measure can aid the city in helping streets and rivers be cleaner, as well as providing homeless residents with the services necessary to maintain their dignity and basic health. In the end, homelessness requires us to be willing to collaborate, brainstorm, and try different solutions. I believe that we come closer to solving this issue when we look at them individually and address what works for each city and what doesn't. We can no longer claim that this issue is just too big to be solved. When we do this, we continue to pass the issue on to others and never solve anything. We are not too small to make a difference. Programs like the Pit Stop, Haven for Hope, and Safe Tent Spaces have worked in other cities. We as a community need to continue to advocate for our representatives to look at these programs and adapt it to fit here in Sacramento. As Mother Teresa says, we think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. We must first start in our own homes to remedy this kind of poverty. The homelessness on the streets could be any one of us. Many of us are just one paycheck away from having nowhere to go. It is important to remember that those experiencing homelessness are someone's son, daughter, brother, or sister. We can choose to have compassion and be dedicated to finding solutions to end suffering for so many. Thanks.